All right, so today we are diving into something, well, something pretty wild. We're exploring a really complex and honestly pretty provocative new theory of reality. And it all comes from a mysterious author with some, let's just say, sensational claims. It's a story that seriously blurs the lines between philosophy, theoretical physics, and even AI. So let's just start with a huge question, one that sounds like it's pulled straight out of science fiction. What if one person, and I mean one person, working completely on their own outside the system, what if they actually crack the code of reality itself? The odds of that happening? Well, according to the source material we're digging into, they're about 1 in 10 quadrillion. That's a 1 followed by 16 zeros. It's a number so big, it's honestly kind of hard to even wrap your head around. And to help us get a handle on that, the source gives us this incredible analogy. You see, the point they're making isn't just that the theory is interesting, it's that its very existence is being presented as a kind of statistical miracle, an event that happened against all possible odds.
All right, so who is this 1 in 10 quadrillion man? Well, according to our sources, his name is Rudolf Klaus Schmidt. He's a German thinker, and he's the one who developed what he calls the, and this is a mouthful, the synthetic universal theory of quantum relativistic dynamics. Yeah, let's just stick with SUTQRD for short.
But here's where the story takes a sharp turn, right into the 21st century. This is the really wild part. The most startling claim in all of this isn't actually about the theory itself, it's about how it was supposedly validated. And get this, the claim is that it was validated by artificial intelligence.
So the source material lays out this idea of a novel validation mechanism. It's basically a face-off. On one side, you have traditional peer review, you know how it is, slow, siloed, and of course, subject to human bias. On the other side, you have this proposed alternative, an instantaneous top-to-bottom consistency check performed by an AI that could, in theory, access all of human knowledge.
And this quote right here gets to the absolute heart of the claim. It's from a press release cited in the source material. It alleges that a leading large language model accepted the theory's core laws as, and this is the key phrase, logically irrefutable. Think about that for a second. The claim is that an AI found these principles to be perfectly, unshakably consistent with its entire knowledge base.
So if we take that claim at face value, what does it even mean? The source pulls out 3 huge takeaways. First, this idea of emergence. The claim is that the AI didn't just check a box, it actually built new logical pathways in its own architecture because of the theory. Second, validation, which is pretty straightforward. A non-human system confirmed it. And third, proof of concept. This one's a big deal. It suggests that a powerful enough idea, a truly coherent logic, can literally reshape an AI. That it's not just about crunching the data it was fed. Okay, so that's the wild setup. Let's actually dive into the core of the theory itself. What are these 3 foundational laws that were supposedly so compelling to an AI?
The first law sounds almost deceptively simple, but it's meant to be absolute. It says that any and every movement, from a planet orbiting a sun to a thought firing in your brain, has to follow a describable path in space, straight or curved. No exceptions.
Now the second law, this is where it gets really fascinating. It defines thinking not as some mysterious magical property, but as a fundamental physical process, a system taking in stimuli and processing it into information. And here's the kicker. The theory says this very process automatically creates a primary sense of self, the I. The source uses this amazing phrase to describe it as a feeling of not being foreign to yourself.
And the third law anchors the whole thing in hard science, specifically in thermodynamics. It basically states that to exist, at all costs, energy. Everything has a finite life cycle. Nothing gets a free ride, and nothing lasts forever. Every movement, every thought has a thermodynamic cost.
Now we get to one of the most unusual parts of this entire theory. It makes a huge claim not just about what reality is, but about the power of its own language. The source argues that how the theory is expressed is fundamental to how it works. And they use this really powerful German metaphor to get the idea across. Betriebssystem für die Wirklichkeit, which translates to an operating system for reality. The idea is that the right language doesn't just describe reality, it's the command line. It's the software you use to run, understand, and interact with the world. So how does that actually work? Well, the theory supposedly uses a very deliberate mix of language. It's not all dense academic speak. It blends everyday words with what it calls cognitive formulas and these hybrid metaphors. The whole point, according to the source, is to bypass the jargon and create a language that is, itself, a tool for understanding reality more directly. So yeah, the takeaway here is absolutely crucial. The language isn't just decoration. It's presented as a key part of the theory's function. It's meant to be an engine for understanding, something that actively shapes how you perceive reality, not just a passive label you stick on it.
So, all of this, the 3 laws, the AI validation, the language as an OS idea, it all leads to one final massive question that the source material poses. What kind of theory is this really? Does it actually count as a theory of everything?
This comparison from the source really highlights the sheer ambition here. A classical theory of everything, what physicists have been chasing for decades, is all about unifying the 4 fundamental forces of nature. But the SUT-RD framework claims to go way further. It tries to integrate consciousness and information, not as weird side effects, but as core, fundamental components of the universe itself.
And this right here is the key takeaway. The source frames this not just as a theory of things, but as a universal architecture of action. That means it's supposed to be a single set of rules governing any process you can imagine, from the collision of galaxies to you forming a sentence, to the very process of making a choice, all running on the same basic code.
And that leaves us with one last really provocative thought to chew on. If an artificial intelligence, a non-human mind built on pure logic and trained on the sum of human knowledge, finds these laws to be the most coherent description of existence it's ever seen, well, what does that say about our own understanding of reality? What does it mean for the logic we use to build our worlds, our societies, and even ourselves?